Agora vai começar a descolagem do Mark Warshaw.
Now we will have Mark Warshaw's presentation. He's a screenwriter, journalist, director, and he will talk about his experience with Transmedia. He's one of the pioneers.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me. So I want to show you today some transmedia stories that I've gotten to help tell, and some transmedia stories that we're going to get to tell in the future. And these are transmedia stories that hopefully you guys can also participate in going forward, and maybe it'll inspire you to tell the transmedia stories of your own. I also want to say again about the production design here and this place. Unbelievable. What a great place to come and talk. You know, it's like we're not in a big auditorium. I really kind of want to do this from my beanbag, but I guess I'll walk around, show off my hot body. All right, am I good? Can I talk? Yes, here we go. All right, transmedia storytelling. We're in Rio, which is so cool. Thank you so much for bringing us down here. Hollywood sucks. I like coming to Rio. You guys are so kicked back here and mellow. I love it. Yeah. All right, so let's talk about transmedia storytelling. These are some of the transmedia stories I've gotten to tell. I worked on the TV show Heroes. I worked on the TV show Smallville. And I've done some projects with the NFL, which is American Football League, for those of you that don't know. And I don't need to define transmedia storytelling because Maurício and Geoffrey have clearly educated you today. So I'm just going to go. Can we get that slide back up again? As if Star Wars hasn't been talked about enough today, I have to take a moment to talk about Star Wars myself, because how did I get here? Why did I do this? Well, I saw Star Wars, and as soon as I saw Star Wars, I made my mom drive to Toys R Us, which is our big toy store. I wanted every action figure so that I could go tell my own Star Wars stories in that negative space that Geoffrey was talking about. And I loved it. And I loved it so much that my mom was like, you know, one day, if you really want to, you could go tell those stories too. So I did that. And I got to do that a lot. And it's really fun. So, but why Star Wars? Why is it so important to this? Because it did create an incredible world. And Geoffrey talked about Boba Fett. Boba Fett, that was one of the greatest examples, the first real good example of transmedia storytelling. Why? If you could put that slide up just one more time, that cartoon up there, it was a Christmas special. They introduced Boba Fett before, you know, right? Yeah, and that's when Jeff went to the playground and was like, what up? What is that? Who is that guy? I can't wait to see that guy. And you got to see him in the next movie. And that's a great thing that transmedia storytelling does. In other mediums, you get to get people excited for the bigger mothership stories. And that's what I've gotten to do for a while. That's what we get to do now. And hopefully, if you're telling transmedia stories, you'll do it too. So moving on. How did I get into this? Well, I was working for a production company. As I was an intern working for free, and then I was an assistant getting coffee, getting everybody lunch. Got to see how they made movies, but didn't get to do much about it. And the production company I was working for was doing great films, lots of TV series. But it wasn't exactly the stories I wanted to tell. And then if you could put that slide back up again, there was a script that came in for a TV show called Batman Year One. And my boss handed it to me. He's like, you think this will be a cool TV show? And I ran into we were on set, so I went to a trailer, and I read this script, and I just wrote notes after notes after notes. It's exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to help tell the Batman Year One story. And it was so exciting, and everyone was going to we thought we were going to make the series, and it was great. And then the way it works, it was Warner Brothers, and film kind of trumps TV there, and apparently they read it in the film division, and they were like, no, we'll make this a feature film. Think of some other character to go play with. So I followed that track, that project kept going. It became the Young Flash story. That didn't really go because not that many people wanted to hear the young Flash story. But then one day, I think it was the president of Warner Brothers Television, Peter Ross, said, how about we do the young Superman story? It was great, and off to the races we went. And I was working for that production company, and at the time, my bosses, I was really at a crossroads. I kind of wanted to go to film school because I really wanted to be a director. And they basically said, they knew I had made some short films in the digital space, and I'd always been fascinated with this concept of interactive video and telling stories online. And one day, if we could put a story online, and you down in Brazil could actually watch it, and you could click on the screen, I thought that was so amazing. They knew I was into that, but we just had that .com bust up in the States, and they said, Mark, instead of going to film school, if you don't want to go to film school, why don't you go to Smallville, and you can have that internet thing. It's yours. They want to tell some internet stories, so go ahead and help them tell stories on the internet. So Blair Witch Project, if you put the slide back up, had just come out, and Warner Brothers thought this Blair Witch thing was amazing, how they extended the world of Blair Witch online and helped it market the show. But they needed someone to take care of the online stuff, so luckily, that was me. And I was just kind of like an assistant. I was like, I'll take this. And they're like, just tell a story. Here's what you get. We'll start you off with a Luthor Corp website. That was Lex Luthor's company's website. And what about if we did a town newspaper? Who's going to write it? Who knows, right? So I was going around the office, like, talking to all the assistants, being like, you want to be a writer one day? You want to write an article, you know? And then we got The Torch, which was, has anyone seen Smallville? Do you guys, any Smallville fans at all? There's Chloe Sullivan that was on the show, and that was her school newspaper. So me and a friend who's now a gigantic screenwriter, she wrote What Happened in Vegas. She was like the first person to ever write an article in the Chloe Chronicles. I mean, in the Smallville Torch. So it was a really fun way for a bunch of the younger people on the staff, sort of the JV team, to start writing, because everyone in the writing community around the office wanted to be writers one day too on the show. And eventually that's what started to happen. Those that wrote really well in these articles got to actually write TV show stuff. And then I thought, you know, people started to really catch on to this. And so Warner Brothers was owned by AOL, and AOL wanted to start doing some video. And they just wanted some behind-the-scenes tours. But they came to me and they asked me, can you have that Chloe girl do a behind-the-scenes tour of the set? I was like, well, we're having so much fun telling stories. Can we take that money and tell a story with that? And like, let's pretend that Chloe, because we have no money, let's pretend Chloe has a video camera, and she's going around the school, and or she's going around and she's solving all the mysteries, like Michael Moore. You know, Michael Moore is. Let's make her the Michael Moore of Smallville and have her go and continue the tales. Because I always hated when like henchman number 2 dies, or the bad guy of the week dies, and we never went back to the bad guy. Who cares what happened to the bad guy? But lots of people online, because we were having this huge online community, were asking, well, what happened to that cool character? I want more of that cool character. So we used these transmedia elements that we didn't know what they were called. I had 5 different titles, 5 different years on Smallville. They're like, what do we call you this year, Warshaw? Like, we don't know what you're doing, but just keep doing it, because the kids are loving it. So just keep going. So we did the Chloe Chronicles, which was one of the very first webisode series. And we went on to do subsequent webisode series. So this was all fine and dandy. I also got to play with the DVDs. And all these things were just extensions of our story, which was the main mothership. Eventually, we actually got to do an animated comic book series and an interactive game that spread on to multiple mediums. And it was all about the formation of the Justice League, which for a kid who grew up on Super Friends, anyone watch Super Friends growing up? Yeah, awesome. That was a dream come true for me. So I got to like tell that story. But the other great thing was that these stories gained popularity online, and for much cheaper costs, we got to test new characters and new stories. And so what ended up happening when they saw that the fans were gathering around these new characters and new stories, they started taking them up to the show and making it a much bigger, larger part of the series. So that was cool. So I'll show you. This is the first transmedia storytelling event we ever got to play with besides the websites. Can you turn up the sound? Verizon Wireless gave us a couple of bucks. I'm sorry, I know there's wireless carriers around. Well, you don't have to see. I can just kind of talk you through it.
Mark, what happened? Looks like a bomb went off.
This is all my fault, Mom. I did
That's why I have to leave.
So Clark is the reason a big, gigantic catastrophe occurred in Smallville. He runs up, and that's the end of the season. Well, Verizon said, we're going to make some commercials, but we don't want to just do commercials. Let's tell stories inside the commercials. And then let's use text messaging. This was in 2002. Let's use text messaging to actually help continue the story. And Clark was on the loose in Metropolis going crazy, stealing money, being very un-Clark Kent.
He must have got away with like $5 grand.
For the latest from Smallville, Verizon Wireless customers can text message join to the WB.
What wouldn't I say this guy looked like? Like every other guy in the ski mask, except for his eyes. They're red.
It was a man, I swear. You should have seen this guy. He jumped from the Daily Planet all the way to Luther Corp. That's at least 200 feet. Yeah, I know.
Got every cop in Metropolis looking for this urban legend, one way or another. He's going to help.
So this walked you right up into the season premiere.
Hello.
Like that's Clark.
Clark is not himself right now. I want you to be very careful.
Okay, that's a good place to stop. Maybe I made it stop there. I did. Okay. So that just gave you an example. That was our first test. Like, okay, well, let's use other mediums to tell more story. Well, what happened? That guy who was the main reporter at the Daily Planet at the time, he became a character in the series. He got stabbed with a pencil in his eye. He died real quick. But again, just learning how to kind of extend our world. So what do we learn from Smallville? We got to build a big fan community. There's tons of fan websites that kind of grew up around the show, and we fed those websites all of our transmedia. And they were a big part of our storytelling process. We brought these fans who were communicating with us, and this is a little before all the social networking stuff. Can you hear me? Is it okay? Brought them into the process, and they would recommend stories they wanted us to tell online. And they would write letters to the editor in the guise of being a Smallville citizen. These are the letters to the editor, and we'd respond back, playing in that world with them, and had a good time just kind of growing out the world, and it really created a big brand loyalty with the show. Our DVDs sell incredibly well. Smallville is, I think it's the most successful Warner Brothers television show in the world. And it's just a really strong link to the series. So I'm not saying Transmedia did all that. I'm just saying that all these things work together to tell one gigantic story. And Superman, it was. Okay, so you saw that we were building that big world, and over years it was kind of great because we had this great transmedia infrastructure to inject story into. We had buckets, that we like to call them. So we have a writer's room, and the writers know that they have a bucket that they can actually throw story into. If the story's not going to work in the TV series, well, let's put it somewhere online. Let's put it on a mobile phone. We did a mobile-sode series where we told the entire backstory of the Green Arrow, who was going to become a big part of the show. A little hard to actually film a guy on a deserted island when you're filming in Vancouver, Canada. Not really tropical. So we did it, and we animated it, and we put it on mobile phones. It's a big world. Well, Heroes came along while I was still working on the show and said, we want kind of all that stuff you've done on Smallville. Jeff Loeb called me. He was one of the writers who used to work on Smallville. He'd gone over to Heroes and said, we want all that stuff over here on this show, Heroes, that we're working on. And I'd already been watching Heroes. It had already been a couple episodes, and I was like, this is the greatest show. I totally have to work on this show. I'll take 2 jobs. So we went there, and let's just kind of talk a little bit. I should probably move this forward. So the big boss man at the top of NBC, which is a big network over there, he was into this whole concept of 360. He wanted heroes. Jeff talked about this. I think Maurício did too. Everywhere you were. If you were a fan, let's find heroes somewhere. But we had some really incredible transmedia minds at the very top of the show. Tim Kring, the show creator, Jesse Alexander, and Jeff Loeb. These guys really understand the nature of all the things that Geoff Long was talking about today. These guys already understood it. And it was to make sure that every single piece of the story really mattered in all the various platforms. And the best story you could tell on that platform would be chosen. So I got to go over there and help them tell the story. And we basically made buckets for all different kinds of fans to experience Heroes. So if you were a fan of the conspiracy behind the show, you could dive deeper into the websites of Private Tech. If you were a fan of the science behind the series, you could go to Activating Evolution, which was the science behind what is making all these superheroes happen. So it was a really fun experience, and I'll play this video of just, it'll do a better job than I will of explaining what we did.
In the explosive Hero Season 1 finale, Hiro Nakamura came face-to-face with his very own hero, Takezo Kensei, introducing viewers to Season 2, Generations. In the off-season and beyond, the Hero saga continues online. Exclusive online content picks up the story where the show leaves off. In keeping with Season 2 Generations theme, Original Heroes graphic novels explore the legacy of on-air characters like the Haitian, Mohinder, Elle, Claire, Matt Parkman, and the Petrelli brothers. Implementing cutting-edge technology, the weekly graphic novels were presented as animated multimedia experiences to be viewed online and on cell phones. Over the summer, the cast and creators of Heroes traveled the globe in anticipation of the series' international premiere. NBC.com covered the Heroes World Tour with photos, videos, and blogs from live events.
Enough fun for one day?
Expanding upon the success of the Emmy-nominated Heroes 360, NBC.com launched Heroes Evolutions, the immersive digital portal for Heroes fans. Users register to become part of the burgeoning Heroes online community and receive emails, phone calls, and text updates from on-air characters. YamagadoFellowship.org launched in an effort to preserve the legacy of history's greatest heroes. In a 5-part original online documentary, fans experienced the Takezo Kensei myths, retold in a unique 3D style, along with expert commentary.
Kensei was destined to draw the sacred sword to unify his country.
These web-only documentaries paved the way for Kensei's on-air debut in Season 2. Shortly before the series premiere, online fans witnessed the return of Hannah Gittleman, a character who was first introduced online then leapt to the TV screen in Season 1.
She's a shiny new toy.
Hannah hacked into the final installment of Sword Saint, challenging fans to investigate several mysterious deaths in South America, while teasing the upcoming on-air storyline of Maya and Alejandro. In the wake of the Corinthian casino's demolition, Hannah bumped into on-air character Micah, sifting through the casino's digital rubble. Together, they invited users to jump in and become part of their discoveries. Hannah reached out to fans for help in exploring her past generations. Every week, Hannah supplied clues in a wide range of formats in an online scavenger hunt to find her missing uncle, the mysterious Drucker. Once exposed by fans, Drucker rallied Hannah's legions to help take down the company.
Together, we can destroy their infrastructure once and for all.
Meanwhile, Mohinder Suresh kicked off a dream study on his popular Activating Evolution website. Fans were invited to post their own dreams, some of which became Original Heroes graphic novels. In addition to Heroes Evolutions, thousands of pages of content can be found at NBC.com's Heroes website. Fans can watch full episodes with simultaneous commentary from the show's cast and creators, and chat with them during live blogs.
It was a good hit.
It was a great hit.
The two-screen experience also allows users to interact with the show during broadcast and test their knowledge against the online community with polls and trivia. Fans are invited to submit their own artwork to the online art gallery and create their own video mashups. The online audience pitched in to create and choose their very own hero, slated to appear in original online webisodes. Heroes, widgets, and embedded news updates are now available for users to personalize their own websites, blogs, and online profiles. With original online stories that impact and extend on-air broadcasts, unique web and mobile features, and countless ways for fans to interact, Heroes on NBC.com offers the most innovative and immersive interactive TV experience on the web.
So that's what we got to do on Heroes, which was a big crazy world that we got to create for Transmedia. And it was a very fun, very exhausting experience. As you could see, there was a lot of stuff we did. So what were the results of something like this? Why do we do it? Well, it's Hollywood, and you got to make money. So we created, there was a big fan community that grew around this, and it was recently evaluated at $50 million US, all the Heroes Evolution stuff. And we were lucky enough to win an Emmy for all this work that we did. So it was good times. And then the writers' strike hit, and Hollywood kind of shut down for a little while. And it was time to start telling some new stories and looking for how can we really push transmedia to the next place. And that's when I met with Jeff, I met Maurício. We've met some really creative thinkers in the world that are out there. Now people are really kind of thinking transmedia from the beginning. We used to be climbing up and saying, hey, we should do some transmedia. Now people are like, let's do transmedia. This stuff works. Let's keep going. So what does keep going look like? So I'm going to show you 3 different transmedia storying kind of platforms or kinds of ways to tell stories. A novella, which I'm sure you're very familiar with here. A reality show focused completely on making actually change happen in the world, something you can actually participate in. And the third is just a fantastic adventure like the Star Warses and the Lords of the Rings. How do we tell these stories using the tools we have today, the technology that you guys are playing with out there? How are we going to tell these stories? So here's the first one. We just completed this. This was launched last week, helping create these webisodes for... Anyone seen Melrose Place or know what Melrose Place is? Yeah? Huh? You weren't born yet? No. Neither was I. Okay, so anyway, Melrose Place is relaunching in a couple weeks up in the States, and to help them relaunch it, this was a fun, really clever idea, I think, from, well, you can be the judge, from the CW guys who did, let me turn up the...
Real estate broker and is the exclusive listing agent for the most sought-after property in Hollywood. Take a look at this rare vacancy at 4616 Melrose Place.
This place... Yeah. Oh, Maurice's telling me I should rewind and start again, so I will.
Mickey Richards is LA's most successful real estate broker and is the exclusive listing agent for the most sought-after property in Hollywood. Take a look at this rare vacancy at 4616 Melrose Place.
This place sells itself, even in this economy. They just pay me to unlock the doors. Welcome to 4616 Melrose Place. This pool's the envy of every hormone racing 20-something in West Hollywood. Nothing these waters haven't seen. And we've got the chlorine bill to prove it. This courtyard is basically Grand Central in swimwear. Mojitos by the fire pit, weekend barbecues. I heard there was even a wedding out here once. In fact, the only thing you won't find here on Melrose Place is an SPF higher than 14, so bronze at your own risk. The paint is still wet in the vacant unit, but the couple who lives here is cool with letting you look around. We have beautiful hardwood floors, an absolutely killer kitchen, vintage appliances, water pressure to die for, huge bedroom, French doors, and check this out. Who actually has an original clawfoot tub? You do. That's who. I mean, this place has it all. It even has closet space for 2.
Interested in 4616 Melrose Place? Act fast, because with all these amazing amenities, it won't be available for long. To find out more, go to MelrosePlaceApartments.com. Mickey's ready to make your dream a reality.
All right, so this is, it's not just for geeks. It's also for, it'd be fun to actually try transmedia in this kind of world, so we're doing it. And like I said, that gets released next week. And I think this has the chance to be pretty successful transmedia property, and it's because the creators of the show and the network are really behind it. Again, top-down people, the storytellers that, like when you were talking about JJ and Joss Whedon, the storytellers get it. They love it. One of the guys who's running the show, the main writer, he started a Twitter account, and tons of people started following him, and he's like, this is the greatest thing ever. So now he's got all the writers in the actual writer's room. When they go, they all have Twitter accounts, and they all have characters on the show that they're going to create the Twitter accounts for. So they're going to tell the stories in between the actual episodes in Twitter. So you can follow. You'll be able to, if you go to MelrosePlaceApartments.com, you'll eventually be able to follow those people too on Twitter. There's tours of all the apartments, and there's another webisode series coming out where there's someone, it's kind of like Crib, someone's actually taking you through all the really beautiful sets, the coolest club, the coolest PR firm in Hollywood, and so that's just a way to launch the series. All right, so I kind of talked about the takeaways, so I'll kind of move past that. But some people aren't interested in sexy novellas, so what if you are someone who wants to try to make some change in the world? This is a new show that we're involved with that we're having a really good time with. This is the first open source reality television series. Basically, this trailer will tell you what this show's all about. I'm sorry I'm showing you so many movies, but hey, they're more fun.
A las 5 de la mañana nos cambiamos y nos venimos a la escuela. Nosotros caminamos para la bajada 2 horas y media. En la regresada es 5 horas.
Imagine this. A team of individuals from all over the world, inventors, engineers, environmentalists, and artists, all coming together for one purpose. To drastically change the lives of a group of children. These children. Over the next 6 days, this team will attempt to complete 3 projects, converting this bus to run entirely on vegetable oil.
Basically, like, we could pull the bus up to a restaurant instead of to a gas station.
Transforming this schoolyard into a playground unlike anything these children have ever seen.
When I first saw the design, I thought they were nuts.
I've never poured concrete in my life, don't tell Ian.
And finally, creating a sculpture to present to the village.
To have a piece come together in 6 days in a foreign country with limited tools, limited time, it's overwhelming.
Me gustaría un día tener un autobús porque estaríamos junto con nuestros padres. En la agricultura también trabajo con mi papá y también cuando paseo mis ovejas estudio en el campo.
This looks beautiful.
Everyone that is on this crew is absolutely amazing.
We bonded not within days, we bonded within minutes.
The playground gives the kids the opportunity, which I think all kids should be able to have, which is play like kids.
It's going slowly.
It's going really slowly.
I need you to go faster.
We're going to be working all night long. I don't think we're going to be getting any sleep.
As long as it doesn't rain, I think we can just about get it done.
This is the easy part right here.
Come on, is it?
The biggest worries here is getting it in on time for the celebration.
This will be the last 12-mile walk they will ever have to school.
The kids don't mind running because they know there's an incredible surprise waiting for them. Right, Lisa?
I'm having so much fun. I feel like a kid again.
Sounds well worth it. I'll do it again tomorrow. What time, what place?
Me siento gracias por mis amigos que nos apoyen, porque honestidad y respeto la extrañamos mucho.
I'm thinking that this is the best way to end a week like this.
So that's Imagine This. You guys like that? So we haven't really shown that anywhere else. This is one of the world premieres, so you guys are one of the first audiences to see that. And this is, as I said, this is open source television. So it's something you can actually completely get involved with. Just move to the next slide. Basically, if you have a cause, you can nominate your cause and vote it up. You could actually go to imaginethisTV.com right now and get a group together. It's just like a Facebook. It's powered by Ning. You go there right now and start your own fan community around a cause and vote it to the top. And that could be actually one of the episodes that we're going to do. And say you actually want to participate in that cause. Say we want to build a well in Uganda, right? And you're a great well builder here. Or you have a friend that is. You can nominate that person and put them online and vote them into the show. So that's the goal. I'm not saying it's coming here, but I'm winking to you, that because I think, you know, obviously I have a big place in my heart for people from Brazil, and you guys are just like, you seem to be the kind of people that want to help do things. So anyway, I just feel like this will be a great thing here. We all do, and we hope it does come here soon. So that's Imagine This. And then just from an educational standpoint, a sustainability standpoint, this is rabbit holes they were talking about. So say we build a well in Uganda, it's not going to be one of those television shows where you just kind of walk away from the cause. You can actually follow that cause online forever, almost like a digital pen pal. And we're aligned with Harvard University and major aid organizations all around the world to help us do this right, and so that's the big plan. So I have one more thing to show you today, and then, so let's go to Star Wars. Let's go play in that kind of headspace now. Totally, I'm all over the place. We're switching gears all over the place. But anyway, let's do adventure, right? So this is a story that will be told. Will actually start online. It won't be a TV series. If I can get it to work. So this is how the story will begin. This is Earth. This is sort of the load screen. How it will all kind of. You'll see continental drift through time, and the part of this, that negative space that Jeff talked about. The question that this asks right off the bat is, are you a billion years in the future or 1 billion years in the past? And I'm not going to go too deep into the story. I'm just going to show you some imagery to give you a feel of what we're trying to bring online. Something kind of bigger and a little more epic than you normally see. You saw this in the hero stuff, but the idea is from that load screen, we'll go into a 3D world. We'll set up the world, see what it looks like. Remember Jeff talked about world building and how important that is. We want you to see what this world's going to look like. Here's another example. This is just concept art from the series. It will be better animation than this, but this is about humanity aligning with the animal kingdoms to help fight a big war against these gigantic beasts that you might think are dinosaurs, but you're really not sure. It's in the time of Atlantis. I'll just give you some more images, give you the look and the feel of what it's going to be like, and then I'm going to show you how we're going to tell the story. So this may look a little familiar to people who live in Rio. There's a reason for that, because we're definitely on planet Earth, except for we're definitely on planet Earth, and that's going to be part of the education process. That's sort of what you're going to dig deeper in. There's going to be lots of mythology. It's a riddle of where these locations really are. Just going to give you a little bit more imagery here to look at. Kind of whet your appetite. So again, this world, humanity is very in touch with the animal kingdoms. The communication is actually enabled. This is a beastmaster. She's someone who can actually talk to animals. But she's actually kind of like Batman. She doesn't have magical power. She learned this skill. This is the collective library of knowledge through all the ages of time. So think of this as our Wikiable library. All the different stories that have ever been told. This is going to be very open source. People will actually get to plug in stories and help solve a lot of the riddles that are going to be told in the story. Look at trends over time and different, a tagline of our company is transmitting storytelling over 5,000 years. And one of the theories of this particular story is that it's actually been going on for a lot longer than that. We just don't have all the clues. So this will help you kind of participate in that clue. That mystery. Just a little more aesthetics. There's dinosaurs versus humans. It's going to be fun. I'll show you exactly how it's going to work. So let's show you how this works. All right, so animated graphic novels. Graphic novels are incredible because it costs about the same amount of money to draw two people sitting right next to each other in a cafe as it costs to make a gigantic Tyrannosaurus Rex going up against a warrior princess. So we're going to tell this online as a very simple. Just your grandma could actually follow this comic book. She doesn't have to go to a comic book store. She just has to log online and hit her spacebar a bunch of times to tell you the story. We're working with the DC Comics artists to create this art, but they're not just going to be flat like in black and white. They're actually we're calling this interactive graphic novel pop-up book. So each panel, when you click on it, actually fills in the space and kind of gives you 3 dimensions, so you could dive deeper into this world. At times, we want to the storytellers are going to need to dictate the story action, because we won't want you just to be interactive with it, so we'll sit back and I'll give you an idea of what the animation will look like right here. If it plays. Can you see? Couple more slides, and then we're done. Now, the comic books are the linear part of the storytelling, but there's going to be artifacts hidden within, Easter eggs, that will actually help tell the story and forge a stronger connection between the content and the storytelling. So that guy was videotaping that particular thing. This is from Smallville, but I just want to give you an idea. He's videotaping it. I want to see what he videotaped. So let's show you.
There he is.
Hello. So it's oops. Well, that going away. Can you put that back up for just one sec? Never mind. Okay, it doesn't really matter. Well, see, it's transmedia, so you can email it, embed it, share it, spread it all around. That's the idea. And what's great about today, for those of you that are so interested in technology, it's a lot easier to do these things than it was a few years ago. We can tell these kind of stories for a lot cheaper than the big Hollywood, but it looks like a Hollywood blockbuster movie. The guy that did that worked on the Supermans and Lion, the Witches, and the Wardrobes, but you can do it kind of with a smaller team, which is really fun because we can tell these huge stories, build these huge worlds for a lot less money than we used to be able to. We talked about casual games earlier. Casual games will definitely be a part of the storytelling experience. You'll come to the end of a chapter of the interactive comic book, and then you will become involved in the story by playing interactive games, and this will dictate where the story goes next. It's very violent, and we'll... Sorry, Mr. Dinosaur. And so then where next? Remember I talked about earlier when I was a little kid and I wanted to, I saw Star Wars and I wanted to go play with my action figures. Well, that's what you'll get to do, but in this day and age, instead of having to go to Toys R Us, we'll just open the doors right for you online. You'll be able to step into Atlantis or step into Tigrofantia, which is the place that kind of looks like Rio. You get your own action figure, you get to go play. And that's the rough idea. So what will happen is in between seasons of comic books, you'll actually get to, we'll stage events within there. So that'll be the gap where we'll tell some stories. There'll be gaps for you as storytellers to help participate and live in that story. And then we'll come on, and there's actually various volumes. This is a very large story told over probably seven volumes. So that's 5 nations, and that's, we're aiming to actually have that out in July of this coming year. And that's what else I want to talk about. Right? Come on. So 5 nations. Why is this transmedia? Everything is. We're using multiple mediums to tell the story. Multiple ways of telling stories with video games, with the virtual worlds. Why education? We talked about the library, and then what this will also do is have a connection from this fantasy world to the real world. We talked about the library stuff and the stories that have been told, but we'll also allow partners in this to tell the stories of the countries that these things relate to. So this is all about humanity's relationship with the planet, sustainability. So if there's a company that really cares about sustainability and wants to tell an incredible story, it's a rabbit hole. And they're going to tell, it's sort of like Epcot Center, dive in, tell us stories of the incredible projects you're doing, whatever you're doing in this sort of a CSR world. If you have corporate social responsibility and such, we'll look to people like that to help us kind of tell the story in the real world and link the two things together. And that, I believe, is, well, it is the end, and that's the conclusion, right? There it is. So thank you so much for inviting us here. We really appreciate it.